Alright, what's going on YouTube? We're going to do, I don't know how many of these I've actually put online. I've done a couple of them, but I don't think I ever uploaded them. I did one maybe a week or two ago, and I just kind of, as I tend to do sometimes, float around a lot, so I just didn't feel like it was a good video to put up. I just kind of was venting, I guess you could say. But hey, I got an update, guys. I put out a video earlier today about the house, how we're going to do the addition, if the money's right, and all that good stuff. I also talked a lot about the plumbing that we were doing in the house. In that video, I talked about we weren't going to move the toilet and this, that, and the other. Well, guys, we ended up doing about $1,900 and like $1,974 more work than we anticipated. Some of it was not necessary, you could say, but on the other hand, it kind of is, right? To do the job correctly, we really needed to do this. Now, it was an option. We could hold off and he could come back and do it at a later date, but then that would mean he'd almost have to undo some of the work he's already doing, and it seemed counterproductive, and why keep spending money after money after money, you know what I'm saying? So we just went ahead and did it. So what we're doing is we're moving the toilet that's kind of wedged in between the wall and the washer, and you barely have any room. We're gonna go ahead and move that over to the block wall where it's gonna be right next to the whole house filter, and then next to that is already the water softener. So he's got that all run. He's got an extensive amount of new copper piping ran, guys. Everything's making sense. He's eliminating, you won't believe how much lines he's eliminating. He's putting some lines that were ran all behind and across from each other. It's all up in the rafters now. They're drilled and they run correctly. They look good. They're new. They're tight. They make sense. So he's been working hard, guys. I know this was supposed to be a 1 to 2 day job, but it's turning into, what is this going to be? It's going to end up being a 3-day job. But he worked till like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night the other night. He worked till like 7 o'clock tonight, and then he's coming back either Friday or Saturday to literally finish it up. He still has to get into the crawl space, work on the bladder tanks, work on the spigot. I guess he is already going to be reworking the sub pump he put in when we had the failure. He's already going to be, I guess, running that a little bit different now that we're doing other things. There's an entire line, guys, that I didn't know this. I'm not a plumber, guys. Sometimes it even gets confusing, right? But he kind of is real good at explaining things to me in person. And we have a pipe that goes through our cement wall, our foundation, that goes out, and it's right next to the actual main septic line that goes in through the foundation into the septic, right? So apparently this other line that's going through the basement or through the foundation, it's only there, guys, for the water, and then we also utilized it for the new furnace, high efficiency furnace, where it gets the condensation water. So the plumber ran, well, not really a plumber, he's my plumber, but he also put in my furnace. He ran that line up through the rafters, kind of goofy to be honest, just kind of wherever, and then dropped it down. He's rerouting that so it's like more clean, it's more straight, and then cuts over, and then he's putting that into a new pipe up top or something, I don't know. But anyways, that entire pipe, that's all that was for. And it's gaudy, it sticks out, it's by the toilet. He's literally gonna shave all that off and cap it, and that's no longer a thing we gotta deal with. And he also said that he thinks there's probably at some point a problem because they have some kind of a rubber boot that's meant to stop something or maybe backflow or something. So he goes, it's probably good just not even have that anyway. So that's great, right? So he's opening up a ton of stuff. We also had a problem with the washer. Not a problem per se, but it just didn't make sense. We have a super long 6, 7, 8 foot line that runs along the ground, and then it has to come up like 4 feet, 3.5, 4 feet, and then dip down into the drop-off pipe. So he eliminated that. I think he's running a solid pipe, if I remember correctly, and he actually moved it like such a better place. First of all, the old lines were corroding the walls. They have leaked at some point from the previous owner. It just looks like shit. And they needed to be replaced. The shut-off valves need to be replaced. So he ran all new copper lines on the other side of the window, dropped it down, took it over the half wall because it's a tri-level, and he put them right there, guys. So boom, the quick connects and hookups now don't have to go 3.5 feet over and all that. So we've got nice hookups right behind the washer, or not quite right behind the washer because it's almost like behind the dryer, but it's right in the vicinity. It looks great. It's going to be so convenient. They're brand new. They're not going to leak. And now what we did is where the toilet was, I picked out a washer basin, you know, your typical tub you wash brushes out and stuff that you see in a washer and dryer room. We're getting rid of that sink cabinet because it was wedged in there tight. It got damaged from the water flood, and it only dumped into the sub pump. So when you turn the water on to wash your hands, whatever, that water just ran into the sub pump, and the sub pump kicked it out. It did work fine, okay, but again, not done the right way. So we got rid of that, and now where the toilet is going to be the basin, the wash tub. I bought a smaller one, plenty big enough for what we do. We hardly ever use it to begin with, guys, but I wanted one so I could keep wash brushes if I want to, and we don't need just, you know, it's still going to have a little shelf for a bottle of, actually I think it has a built-in soap dispenser, so you still can wash your hands, utilize it like a bathroom, because I think eventually we're going to put a shower, like a little corner shower down there. But it's not going to be a conventional bathroom, right? It's not going to be walk into a door and have drywall and the pretty, and, you know, it's going to be walking into essentially the washer and dryer room, and it's going to have an open shower, it's going to have a toilet, and it's going to have a sink or a basin sink, you know? So it's going to be kind of like a redneck kind of bathroom, but it's going to be a bathroom, and it's going to be, there's a door to that, you know, and everything. So it's not necessarily going to be a bad thing to have it down there. It just ain't going to be your traditional bath, you know? But because there's only so much room and we had to move things around, we actually ended up taking up too much space. We ended up taking up a lot of the space I could use for storage by putting the water softener along the wall and bringing the whole house filter system down next to it. So we did take up a lot of a storage space. But to be honest, guys, the more and more I'm aging and stuff, man, we're getting rid of stuff. It's like if I can't store it out in the pole barn, or, you know, I don't mind storing a few boxes. I did buy a couple new cabinets. If we can't keep everything in there, then we got to really prioritize things and really see if we really need to even have this stuff. Because I'm not collecting crap. I'm not a clutter person. I want to get rid of the shit. So I have a pole barn. I have a shed. If I can't fit the shit out there, you know, and what little stuff I have to keep inside and keep warm, I still have the crawl space. I can get totes, a couple, you know, and keep them in there and keep them on the crawl space. The crawl space does not get cold even in the coldest of days in the winter. So that can be a little bit of storage for, you know, things that really do need to go, you know, and not take up our actual living space. So we did a lot more extensive work than we were thinking. Like I said, it cost us a couple thousand more. This whole job is actually going to almost double in price. It was supposed to be $3,350. I think we're touching $6,000 right now. But it's all being done, guys. There's very few pipes that aren't being completely redone or whatever. There are a couple, but they make sense still. They're fine, whatever. But I mean, I would have to say 85 to 90% of plumbing is getting all redone in copper. The only PEX that we're using is a line for the swamp cooler. I believe that is to the water to feed out or in. I can't quite remember. But it's just to cool the house. It's not going to be a big deal. I am going to talk to him, make sure he's not using shark bites to connect, because those are 10 years, you know, they're shot. So I don't want that. So there are other connectors you can use that last longer. So, but at least, again, guys, we're going to know everything. We're going to know how to run everything. He gave us actual smart shutoffs. I only have 2 shutoff valves now. I can turn off one to stop the main water, and or another one to bypass and go bypass the water softener, literally 2, and then one more that will shut off the water to the swamp cooler. So total of 3 shut-off valves that make sense for everything. Boom, right there. Everything else, all those valves I showed you guys, and shut-offs and everything, you know, other than your typical ones for your washer and dryer, they're all freaking gone. Only 1 house filter, not 2, that didn't even make no damn sense. Just a lot of craziness. So yeah, so he's going to be coming pretty much, I think, he's going to try for Friday. I'm more likely thinking he'll be here Saturday, and he'll work all day. It's looking like I don't have to work Saturday, so I am going to, is this the exit? So I'm going to, finish painting the bathroom and get the bathroom done on Saturday. We did have a surprise visit from the in-laws that are coming to stay. You know, things always happen at the worst time. Not that I don't mind seeing them, so that's not what I mean by that, but it's funny how life happens, right? You kind of like get into something, and then the weather ended up changing to nice weather, so they obviously want to come when it's nice weather, so it's a great time for them to come. It's just, you know, so I just called and warned them that, hey, you know, things, we kind of wanted to show them everything all prettied up and, you know, and looking nice, but unfortunately that's, you know, they're still going to get the gist of it, but it's not going to look as good as we'd have liked it to have it, because we're going to have the living room, or our bedroom, still going to be full of stuff. The plumbing's not going to be 100% done. You know, we just got a little bit of a mess going on, but it's just life. Life happens, and we just got to work around it, so it's not a big deal. Be good to see them. So they're going to be coming up. I think he said he's leaving tomorrow, so I think they'll be up. Yeah, because today's Wednesday, guys. So, yeah, so they're going to be coming up and be here tomorrow night. And then I think they're staying through Saturday and leaving Sunday, if I'm correct. So just a quick little turn and burn. They got some work they got to do on the RV. They got to take some things in and out of the RV and just, you know, give them a kind of a breather from their life and see what's going on in our life kind of situation, which is exactly the whole point, right? So that'll be nice to see them. So I'm looking forward to that. I get along real good with the whole family, I would say. So it's been nice to have them in our life. So be looking forward to seeing them. So anyways, with that being said, guys, that's kind of the plumbing situation. I'm actually crazily excited to have it done, just because it takes a huge weight off my shoulders. I've been worrying about this plumbing for a long time now, and even more so when we keep having these floods, and it's just like, man, now's the time. It's definitely costing more money than I would like, guys. I mean, this total project, between doing the bathroom now that truly needed to be done, doing the basement, just this new part, not the old part, and all this has been done in 2.5 years, guys. And all this, the basement was done 6 months ago, and now the new basement all done now in the bathroom. I think we're at about, it was $10,600 for the bathroom, and the basement, plus another 15 for the carpet. So there's 10, 11, 5, 12. Now the 6. So yeah, we're at $18,000, guys, we just put into the house again. Before that, we did another 8 or 9 or 10,000 to do the other basement, put the wall up. And then we did another 3,000 to do the insulation, and then we've done carpeting for 10,000. We put the shed out front for 8,000. We did plumbing work when we first moved in for 5,000 or 6,000. Can't even tell you the countless trips to Home Depot that we've spent, thousands. I mean, we're at about $65,000 into this house, and it's starting to see it, but it's still not there. We still got the kitchen that needs to be redone, the flooring in the kitchen, the cabinets in the kitchen all need to be redone. I still got to redo the garage, the electrical. We want to get a generator system for when we lose power. Luckily this year, knock on wood, we have not lost power one time. So part of me is almost like, man, do you waste your money on something like that hardly used? But it'll be that moment that you when you need it and you have it, and you're going to be damn glad you had it. You know what I mean? So I think, but that's not a high priority, but it's definitely something down the road I'd like to do. Now, the fun talk. Let's talk about, man, some of these guys slow down way too slow for railroad tracks. They're not that bad. Anyways, let's talk about the addition. We got good news and we got bad news. The good news is, I think it can be done, and I think it's going to look nice. We got a sketch of it and everything, and it looked pretty badass. The bad news is a couple different bad news. Sort of bad news, maybe, but not bad news. The worst news, guys, is it's going to be more money than what we thought. What do you know, right? It's right around $120,000 with the potential of it creeping over a little bit, possibly, you know, based on more so the electrical and the HVAC and all that. So there's a potential it could creep to probably 125, 126 maybe. Maybe 130, I don't know. But I don't know. He seemed pretty confident. 120, he could probably make it happen. So I'm thinking it's about 120. It's about $20,000 more than what my parents want to spend. On the other hand, I counted up about $10,000 in stuff they're going to save in the first year, between HOA fees and insurance fees and water bill, and, you know, even their utilities will come down. So, I mean, you're going to get back over 10 grand in 1 year. So the only negative, there's a couple negatives. So one negative is I'm not going to be able to save the garage. In order to get them the space they need, we're going to have to do 2 levels, which I don't hate the idea of doing that. The only thing that I don't like is we're going to have to lose the garage completely. There's no money left over to do even a carport or another garage. It's just not there, and that's going to cost for a decent wooded shingled carport, it's $10,000, or to put sides on it, you're looking at, he said 20 to 25 grand. I'm not really sure why the hell it'd be that much just to put sides on it, but I mean, I don't know what he's looking to do. But anyways, so unfortunately we'd have no protection for the cars. That cannot happen because we've got bad hailstorms and stuff. You know, we've got $100,000 in vehicles in the driveway. We can't have them all getting ruined from the weather. It's, you know, and again, it's like I told my parents, it's not like they're my babies and I love them to death and I just care so much. You know, it's not a freaking Mustang or something. But it's still the fact that, you know, we got to protect our investment, right? And I know they're not really investments, but, you know, again, you're not going to have a $65,000 truck and you want to get it pummeled by the weather and dented all to hell, and, you know, just can't do that, right? So we got to have some kind of protection. So we're going to have to figure that out. I do have a couple of options running in my head, and I guess people could say, well, why don't you just pay for it? Well, guys, I'm not a rich man. As you guys can see, we've been getting pummeled left, right, and center ever since the beginning of the year. We've been getting pummeled for 2.5 years since we bought this house, guys. To be honest with you, I came from a mobile home park. We were getting away from the park because, to be honest with you, I was there a decade and I was tired of it. It was never meant to be as long as it ended up being. And we had a great mobile home. The park was pretty nice, and the mobile home was all redone. Like, I could show you videos and stuff. It was a beautiful mobile home. Lot rent was starting to get upwards of $800-900 with no slowing down. You had rules, you had all sorts of bullshit. You were living on this tiny little lot on the corner. It just wasn't very life appealing, right? And times were super high, so I'm like, you know what? Let's get out of this mobile home. I paid $26,700 for it back in 2014, and I sold it for $56,500. And that's after I did put a little bit of work into it, but it was an insurance. Half of it was an insurance job because my previous wife had an accident, fell asleep and flooded the house, so we threw another $13,000 with the money, and we were able to get a lot of it, pretty much all of it, all redone. So it looked really nice and everything. So, you know, small investment on our end turned into a pretty good investment at the end. So I'm like, you know what, and it's hard to sell trailers, guys. So I was like, let's get rid of this thing before it was getting old in the tooth. The roof probably needed to be done in a year or two. The furnace had already broken down and we got it fixed. It's just like, okay, you know, I don't want to dump a bunch of money into a mobile home. I would rather put that money into a real stick-built home that's going to gain value. So that's what we did. Unfortunately, maybe I did all the right steps. I hired a professional to look at the house, but I don't trust those professionals no more. I feel like I got more experience than they do anymore, and I should have just did my due diligence and did it a different way. So unfortunately, now we got hit with a house that needed a shit ton of work, and unless you're really, you know, knowledgeable in plumbing and this, that, and the other, you know, you're not necessarily gonna, you know, you kind of think about it, but you don't really know. So it is what it is at this point. But now the problem lies in, what is my parents thinking? What are they gonna do, right? I feel like after I talk to them with my idea, they may even see it my way a little bit more as far as still continuing to do it. I know my parents had the money to go a little bit above, but I also know they're not comfortable, you know, touching their nest egg just getting started. So I've got a solution possibly for them that can help. So I will bring that up to them and see what they think. Yes, it does involve me and my wife taking on portion of the money to help get it built. Even if that means they pay for it and I will reimburse them, you know, almost like give my dad a little bit of a pension, right? I'll pay him every month, $500 a month or something to pay that back, you know, because I'm thinking we can probably cover the 20 grand, or maybe they cover the 120 and then we borrow 25 to build the garage, because we got to have something, or even 10 to put up something. So we're going to figure it out. And I make really good money. It's just right now, you know, we still have a little bit of money in the bank. I do have to replenish, and right now I'm limited on overtime because I'm new and I'm training. But the money's going to come. It always does. It's, you know, God's blessed us, and I'm in a career and enough years in that we're going to be working a lot, guys. Like I think I told you last video, I've already been told we're going to be working 7 days a week come launch, and that launch is probably going to go on for over a year. Even if the market slows down, even with this war and everything, GM does not stop selling trucks and cars, guys. They're going to continue to sell them. You figure even if you only sell 4,000 to 6,000 of them a month, which is low, even in a low economy, that's, you're going to keep us working. We supply the big motors for a lot of the country and out of state, or out of country. So, we'll be working. So anyways, with that being said, that's kind of my idea. I'm going to shoot it by my father, and maybe it'll have to be fine-tuned a little bit and stuff. But, we got to be careful because we got to pay for the mortgage. We got to pay for this plumbing. I mean, we've done plumbing. We've done basement work. We've done all complete remodeled bathroom. I mean, we've just been getting, plus normal stuff, right? We just paid the car insurance note. That's $1,600, $1,670 every 6 months. We just paid that. Our escrow was short $1,400. We got to pay that. We owe taxes because we made so much money last year that, we got over a tax bracket due to some circumstances, bonuses, unforeseen bonuses and stuff. So, we owe $8,000 there. So, I mean, life is lifing, and life is super expensive. And even when you make a lot of money, it's expensive, man, and your expenses go up. And you guys see what we live in. I don't live in a multi-million-dollar or even a $500,000 home. I mean, it's a nice home. Well, it's sort of a nice home. It's just a normal family little house. A lot of people wouldn't even like it. Too small. So, but it's just life. As you guys know, life is so expensive. Homes are so expensive. The house that we bought, it should have been $100,000, $120,000, $130,000 in the condition it was in. But we had to spend $268,000, and that was them coming down $12,000 because they wanted, what did they want? 280 or some thousand, and it didn't pass. The bank said no. So that kind of helped us, right? And we found a little pocket where we got an interest rate of 6.625 when interest rates were creeping towards, I think the week we locked it in, a few days later it went up to like over 7, pushing 8. So we did okay on that. And we also got them to come down $12,000, which they should have came down a lot more, all the money we put in. And then, if my mom and dad build this addition, while everybody else is possibly losing money on their home as things are starting to creep down, our home is actually going to go up in value, and their 100, 120 grand they're going to put in will actually absorb any of the loss and still be a net positive. And on their end, they're not going to care because they're living there until, they're no longer with us, hoping it's going to a long, long time, but inevitable for all of us, right? So, they don't care. So like, they're kind of like helping us, and, their legacy per se, or, they're going to be a part of our retirement because this house is part of our retirement, or more so part of maybe even my wife's retirement, because we might be there till I go. So this house, it's kind of really cool thing for everybody, I think. And I think even if you have to spend an extra 20 or 30 grand, I feel like, you can't build or buy a new home for $130,000 unless you buy a mobile home. Then you got to still have property to put it on, and that property's going to cost at least $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. You got to get it all hooked up. I mean, nowadays, guys, things are damn near impossible unless you do things like this. You help each other out, family, as long as you can get along with them good enough and enjoy their company and stuff, but also make it where everybody can live their own separate lives. These are things that families are going to have to start doing, I think, in order to help each other live a good life and be happy, and not be just stressed over money their whole entire life and you know what I mean? So anyways, guys, really looking forward to seeing what they got to say, talking to them tomorrow about my idea. I always come up with another idea, guys. My brain is like, it works overtime, man. I should be getting paid by somebody for something with all the crap that I come up with in my head, and it usually works out, guys. God has blessed me, I feel, with some wisdom and some common sense and some very unique ways of thinking. And in all honesty, I am a very honest person, and when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and within reason, right? We always have a right to change our mind, or things can happen, but if I come up with something, it's well thought out, overly so. So anyway, we'll figure this out. And I'm almost home, so thanks for listening to this little vlog about our life and the updates. And some of you may not care, some of you might enjoy it, some of you might get some ideas from it, or maybe you're in the same situation, I don't know. So I think a lot of families are going to find themselves moving in together, doing additions, because at the price of buying separate homes, it doesn't make sense for my mom and dad at their age to retire, and they're going to be living off Social Security and 401k savings and all that, but still to go out and spend you know, to get out of the situation they're in now with high HOAs and all that, to go out and buy another home and spend $200,000-$300,000, they won't get that much for where they're living now. So then they got to take on a mortgage at 63, 65 years old. It just doesn't make any sense. And then they're, you know, and then they got all these bills. Why not spread the bills out for several families of income, you know, and then we focus on getting the house paid for and everybody wins. So that's kind of like the situation I think we're in, and I like it. So anyways, guys, I'll give you an update. Maybe I'll do a video tomorrow with some actual video of all the work that he did, or maybe even I'll do it tonight. Who knows? I'm not feeling too bad. I had a very easy day today at work. Training on the easy part of the job today. It was very nice, and we're very slow, so I feel pretty good. I am getting a little tired though. But anyways, guys, I hope y'all have a good night. I'll upload this tonight, and maybe I'll upload another one in the morning of an actual video of the work he's done that I've yet to see. So we will talk to you guys later.